You can lose a lot of weight and still carry a significant amount of belly fat. That's because belly fat isn't just the fat under your skin. It also includes visceral fat, the fat that surrounds your internal organs. It wraps around your stomach, your liver, your pancreas. And this is the type of fat that drives many of the chronic diseases quietly harming our health today. Visceral fat is a major contributor to diabetes, fatty liver disease, heart disease, and even cancer. But here's the good news. Although visceral fat is dangerous, it's actually the easiest type of fat to lose when you know how to target it. In this video, I'll show you the fastest way to burn visceral fat and reduce it effectively. We'll go through the best foods and drinks to include in your daily routine, and then I'll share the most effective exercises for speeding up your results. Let's start with food, because what you eat each day either feeds your visceral fat or starves it and shrinks it. One of the most powerful weapons against visceral fat is carotenoid-rich foods. Carotenoids are natural pigments found in plants. They give carrots their bright orange color, tomatoes their red color, and spinach its deep green tone. But it's not just the color. Carotenoids are extremely potent antioxidants. This matters because most visceral fat accumulation comes from energy excess, which leads to inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. Carotenoids help neutralize free radicals, unstable molecules that damage cells. By reducing free radicals, carotenoids help stabilize gene activity, even activating genes that burn fat and turning down genes that store fat. A randomized study in Japan looked at whether carotenoid intake affects visceral fat. The results showed that just 8 weeks of eating carotenoid-rich vegetables significantly reduced visceral fat, especially in the group consuming high lycopene and low lutein foods like carrots and shiitake cabbage. So how do you get more carotenoids in your diet? Simple. Eat more colorful vegetables, carrots, sweet potatoes, bell peppers, spinach, squash. Any deeply colored fruit or vegetable is likely rich in carotenoids and can help you reduce visceral fat. After carotenoids, another important compound to focus on is catechin, a flavonoid polyphenol that acts as a strong antioxidant and reduces inflammation. The easiest way to get catechins is by drinking green tea. Green tea is rich in catechins, and these compounds can literally change how your body handles fat, especially visceral fat. Catechins help regulate fat in multiple ways. They increase fat oxidation and boost energy expenditure. They stimulate your nervous system so your body burns more fat and speeds up overall metabolism. They also inhibit fat-processing enzymes like lipase, meaning they block some of the fat you eat from being absorbed in the first place. And the reason green tea is so powerful is because it contains caffeine, which works together with catechins to enhance fat utilization and accelerate fat burning. A clinical trial in Japan showed that just 12 weeks of drinking catechin-rich green tea, about 600 milligrams of catechins per day, significantly reduced visceral fat. To maximize these benefits, it's best to choose pure, minimally processed green tea. Anything that creates an energy deficit or calorie deficit will help you lose weight and reduce visceral fat. But choosing the right foods and drinks will help you get results much faster. And once you optimize your nutrition, the right kind of exercise becomes your magic multiplier. In fact, selecting the correct type of exercise is essential if you want to reduce visceral fat quickly. Research shows that both diet and exercise reduce visceral fat. However, diet has a larger effect on overall weight loss, while exercise is far more effective specifically for reducing visceral fat. There's also an older but fascinating study that demonstrates how powerful even small amounts of exercise can be. Just 2 45-minute cycling sessions per week at 75% of VO2 peak over 2 months reduced visceral fat by 48%. Not only that, it increased insulin sensitivity by 41% and decreased subcutaneous fat by 18%. And this wasn't intense exercise. In the study, they measured effort using VO2 peak rather than VO2 max. For people who aren't athletes, VO2 peak is usually lower, roughly equivalent to zone 3, or about 70–80% of maximum heart rate. In other words, a low to moderate intensity level where you can still speak in full sentences, but your breath starts to feel slightly strained. Another interesting finding: overall body weight didn't really change. Participants lost a large amount of visceral fat and improved their insulin sensitivity, yet the scale barely moved. This is something I always remind my patients. Don't get discouraged. Eating well, exercising correctly, and seeing real improvements in your health matter far more than the number on the scale. Before we continue, if you're finding this video helpful, please tap the like button so more older adults can discover it, and subscribe. We share new senior-friendly health tips every day, and you won't want to miss the next video. Resistance training still provides important benefits, but it's not the most effective method when your goal is rapid visceral fat loss. Its main role is maintaining muscle mass, which is crucial for overall health and metabolism. So, what type of exercise is best for aggressively reducing visceral fat? A recent meta-analysis found that high-intensity aerobic exercise and HIIT, high-intensity interval training, are the two most effective modalities for shrinking visceral fat. And if your goal is to lose visceral fat quickly in the next few months, increasing your cardio intensity is the most effective strategy. HIIT and high-intensity aerobic training, especially running, tend to outperform cycling for visceral fat reduction. But at the end of the day, the most important truth is this: the best exercise is the one you can stick to consistently. Consistency will always outperform the perfect plan on paper. A textbook perfect workout that you only do twice a month will never outperform simple walks that you enjoy and can repeat several times a week. According to research, the ideal routine looks like this. Exercise 2 to 3 times per week. Each session at least 45 minutes, at a moderate to vigorous intensity. If you don't track your heart rate, use the talk test. Moderate intensity. You can speak in full sentences, but your breathing is slightly strained. Vigorous intensity. You can only say a few words before needing to pause for air. The great thing is that the more you exercise, or the higher the intensity, the greater the results. A study in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that people who exercised more often or more intensely saw proportionally greater reductions in visceral fat. Dieting, however, doesn't work the same way. You can only cut calories to a certain point, and after that, the benefits no longer increase. That's why you don't need to starve yourself to lose belly fat. In fact, the opposite is true. Eat enough to maintain energy. Increase your fiber intake, reduce oily foods, and gradually raise your activity level to burn visceral fat faster. Feel free to share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. We truly love hearing from you. Thank you for watching.